Hi, it's Steve with Coin Stuff I Like. Bringing another Carson City Stuff I Like video. No, I'm not doing a remake of Part 19, Carson City Coin Press number 1. I will put the link to that video in the description of this video. But really, I'm doing something like Part 19B, maybe 19C. Not keeping count. But I'm going to come back to the Carson City Coin Press number 1 because I learned a little bit this weekend when I visited the Mint. I've previously gone over this slide in Part 19, the Coin Press number 1, and I was giving a timeline of Carson City Coin Press number 1, and I mentioned that Carson City Coin Press number 1 went to Denver in 1964 through 1967. Actually, late 64 probably, and it came back to Carson City by mid 67. So um, late 64 to early 67, it was there at Denver doing work for the U.S. Mint. And we know that it produced about 188 million coins, of which 60 million were cents. There's also, I presented in the prior video, that the Carson City Coin Press number 1 likely produced a lot of dimes. In other words, wasn't necessarily working on the big coinage because they didn't want to break it. So I was looking at working on smaller coinage that did not require as much tonnage of pressure to mint the coins, to strike the coins. So there's some good evidence that the or at least conjecture at that point in time in this video that it was also used for a lot of dimes in the Denver Mint. Recently did a video on the period from 65 through 67 where there are no mint marks on coins. And I gave you this timeline for dimes, quarters, and halves, where they had a date freeze for 1964 for silver coinage. So at the Denver Mint, 64D might have been produced all the way into 66, early 1966. They had a date freeze, didn't mean they couldn't make them with 64D dates, and they had the silver to run off and continue the silver coinage through this point in time in early 66. That said, there's also a conversion going on to clad coinage. And the Coinage Act of 65 became law in July of 65, and the first clad coinage production commenced with quarters on August 23rd. So the clad coinage from 65, late 65, through and beyond to current times. So there's a little bit of a timeline. I presented this in a recent video on the no mint mark 65 through 67 because it didn't matter where they're produced, whether it's Denver, San Francisco, or Philadelphia. They did not have a mint mark between 65, 66, 67. They resumed mint marks in 68. So I presented that in a prior video. I'll put that video in the description of this video as well. So I'll come back to this one. And yeah, we know that a lot of the cents, 65, maybe 66, maybe 67, early 67, were, 60 million of them were produced by Coin Press number 1 out of the Denver Mint. they're not going to have mint marks, of course. The we know that the coin press number one was there at Denver for this period, so it could have struck maybe not the larger silver coinage, but dimes up through early 1966. We also know, again, that it was in this period, late 64 through early 67, that the Carson City Coin Press number one was there, that it also could have produced the clad dimes from late 65 through early 67 when it was there. So I was visiting at the Carson City Mint, and this is the slide that I presented this before, silver planchet being struck by coin press number one at the old Carson City Mint, now part of the Nevada State Museum. And I want you to pay attention to this coin hopper over here. So that's like a planchet hopper, and I've never, I've seen the coin press number one. I've seen that hopper there, and for the very first time, actually took a closer look. And I don't know if you could see it yet as we zoom in, but look what we see here. So that's a coin hopper for dime planchets. Dime planchets. And the folks at the mint, at the museum, told me that that's the way it came back from Denver. So you can deduce that the last production run that Carson City Press number one made in Denver was dimes. So again, it's possible they could have struck dimes earlier, and you have a silver 1964 D minted dime could have been struck by coin press number one. It's possible. But we also know that it is quite likely, if it was being used all the way until it was returned, it's quite likely that it was may have produced 66, maybe even 67 dimes, clad dimes, no mint marks. So it was pretty, a little additional tidbit. Now I have a little bit better feel for the timelines for Carson City Coin Press number one. And we know that the last coinage that it struck for the U.S. Mint at the Denver Mint was dimes. So there you have it. If you have a 64D silver dime, maybe Carson City Press number one struck that. We know since between late 65 through 66, 67, possibly, maybe from Carson City Coin Press number one. And we know almost certainly that if you have a 66, possibly 67 dime, no mint mark, these are the clouds, it's also possible that it came from Carson City Press number one. And that, to me, that's pretty cool information. And as a Carson City stuff that I like, this fits nicely. So thank you for watching. Remember, be smart about what you buy. Buy stuff you like, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.